The bond between a parent and their child is supposed to be one of the most sacred and unbreakable connections. It is a relationship built on unconditional love, care, and protection. But what happens when that bond is shattered, or perhaps never truly existed at all? In today's case, we explore the heartbreaking and disturbing story of Ashley Zhao, a little girl whose life was tragically cut short by the very people who were supposed to cherish and safeguard her. Lately, I've been getting all these calls and messages from people claiming to be from my bank or credit card company, saying there's a problem with my account and sending me links to fix it. It turns out they're just voice phishing scams. I don't fall for it because I don't even answer them, but what about our parents? I sometimes get really worried about them being targeted. These scams are getting so sophisticated that it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. And with big companies not doing enough to keep our data safe, like AT&T's recent data breach that exposed call and text records of nearly all their customers, we are at risk. That's why I think services like Aura, today's partner, are so important. Aura alerts you if your phone number or other sensitive information has been compromised and gives fast fraud alerts if someone tries to use your data to access your credit or bank accounts. It's like a safety net for your digital life. Plus, Aura offers transaction monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, a password manager, parental controls, and identity theft insurance, all in one app. Their AI-powered call assistant screens unknown calls, so you only get the important ones, while protecting you from harmful texts by filtering out spam and scanning links for phishing threats. If you're worried about protecting yourself and your loved ones, Aura is worth checking out. You can try it for free for 2 weeks at aura.com/darkasia, and the link is also below. It's a small step that can make a big difference in keeping everyone safe. On January 9th, 2017, a frantic call was made to the Emergency Response Center in Jackson Township, Ohio.
Jackson Township Police.
I can't find my daughter.
When's the last time you seen her?
This afternoon, probably. I mean, she was there sleeping.
Liang Zhao reported that his 5-year-old daughter, Ashley Zhao, had gone missing from their family restaurant, Ang's. He told the emergency operator that Ashley had gotten up from a nap, wandered out the back door of the restaurant, and never returned. The audio recording of this call captures Liang's nervousness. His words are stuttered and uneasy. He claimed that Ashley had been sleeping while he picked up her sister Jojo, and that they only realized she was missing after dinner service. As you listen to the recording, something feels off, and you can't help but wonder if the 911 operator noticed this too. The police were dispatched to the Zhao family's door to ask more questions. And this marked the beginning of a wide-scale search for little Ashley Zhao. But as the search for Ashley Zhao continued, the community's focus started to shift. People began to look more closely at the couple themselves, Ashley's parents, Liang Zhao and Mingming Chen. The investigation soon uncovered shocking details about what had really happened to the young girl. Details that no one could have imagined when the search for a missing child first began. So what truly happened to little Ashley Zhao, and what led to such a tragic outcome? The Zhao family lived in Jackson Township, a quiet and peaceful community. Liang Zhao and Mingming Chen, a Chinese couple, had 2 daughters, Ashley and her older sister, Jojo. Liang was a U.S. citizen. However, Mingming's immigration status was more complicated. She had entered the country illegally, and it's believed that marrying Liang was her path to citizenship. Despite the challenges the family faced, those who knew Ashley remembered her as a bright and cheerful little girl. She was social and had a warm, polite personality that made her well-liked by everyone who met her. Ashley had a way of lighting up any room she entered, and people felt a natural inclination to protect her and her sister Jojo, just as any loving parent would. Liang Zhao and Mingming Chen were a couple, trying to build a life for themselves in Jackson Township, Ohio. They opened a Chinese restaurant called Ang's, which quickly became popular in the community. People loved the food and atmosphere, and the glowing reviews made it clear that Ang was the go-to spot for Chinese takeout. The restaurant operated nearly around the clock, but it seemed like Liang and Mingming were the only ones running the show, handling both cooking and serving. But with two small children at home, the demands of running a busy restaurant were overwhelming. When Ashley was about 3 years old, Liang and Mingming decided to bring Liang's mother into their home to help take care of the kids while they focused on the restaurant. However, Mingming later revealed that she didn't get along with the grandmother, who often criticized her. And at one point, Liang and Mingming made the difficult decision to send Ashley to China with her grandmother. This separation didn't last long, and when Ashley was 5 years old, she returned to live with her parents. Once again, the couple found themselves juggling the intense demands of their restaurant and the responsibilities of raising two young children. It's easy to imagine how stressful their lives must have been, running a restaurant with no staff and caring for their children every day. But even with all this stress, nothing could justify what happened next. On January 9th, 2017, a chilly winter's night in Jackson Township, that was when Liang Zhao made a frantic 911 call that their daughter had suddenly gone missing. The local community was really on edge after Ashley Zhao went missing. She was just a little kid that everyone adored, and the idea of her disappearing without a trace was just terrifying. This kicked off a statewide search, with police and neighbors looking everywhere through parks, lakes, and the nearby woods. But despite all their efforts, the cold Ohio winter didn't give them any clues, leaving everyone frustrated and worried. Meanwhile, something strange was happening. Ang's, the family's restaurant, was still open like nothing had happened. People found it odd that Liang and Mingming could keep working as usual while their daughter was missing. The police noticed this too, and it raised some red flags. With no luck outside, the police turned their attention to Ang's. They asked the couple to stay away from the restaurant, hinting that if Ashley had been kidnapped, there might be evidence inside. Reluctantly, the couple agreed. They started searching every inch of the restaurant, looking for any sign of Ashley. It was during this search that they found something unusual. A tiny gap in the wall near a walk-in freezer. The detectives decided to check it out. They moved some appliances and found a black opening in the wall, just big enough for a small child. What they discovered next was the worst possible outcome: a hidden container with Ashley Zhao's lifeless body inside. This devastating find happened on January 10th, 2017. Liang Zhao and Mingming Chen were arrested soon after on suspicion of murder. At first, they denied everything, but the detectives kept pushing. Eventually, their stories started to fall apart. Liang's interrogation, which you can actually find online, reveals the heartbreaking details. He finally admitted what happened on January 9th, the day Ashley was reported missing. The day started like any other, busy with orders at the restaurant and Jojo at school. But it was a stressful day, especially for Mingming, who was juggling the restaurant and taking care of Ashley. It was clear she was at her breaking point, and unfortunately, that led to a tragedy no one could have predicted. Mingming completely lost it when she found out that Ashley had peed and defecated in her diaper.
Hindi na nag-record and include the reminder.
The bad things, they make me angry, and I can't control myself and have children.
Since Ashley wasn't potty trained yet, this was totally normal for her age. But instead of understanding that, Mingming got furious. She started hitting Ashley over and over, and the worst part was when she punched Ashley in the head. The blow was so strong that it knocked Ashley down, and she hit the floor hard. Liang saw the whole thing happen, but he didn't do much at first. He only went to check on Ashley when she was already lying on the floor. In his interrogation, Liang said Ashley was still breathing when he picked her up, but it was shallow and heavy, and her eyes were closed. Slowly, he felt her tiny body go limp as she stopped breathing, and her heart stopped beating. Liang claimed he tried to do CPR, but it didn't help. Mingming's reaction was disturbingly cold. After realizing Ashley was dead, she just told Liang to take care of it, as if she wasn't even talking about a child. Both of them referred to Ashley as it during their interrogations, which is just heartbreaking. They started trying to figure out how to cover up what happened, scared of what would happen if they called the police and told the truth. And their plan was horrific. They put Ashley's body next to her sister, Jojo, while she was sleeping, so Jojo would think Ashley was just asleep. And after that, they hid Ashley's body in a container and put it in a freezer to keep it from smelling while they figured out what to do next. Shockingly, they admitted they were thinking about burning the body, burying her, or even throwing her into the ocean. It's just unimaginable. On January 11th, Liang and Mingming were arrested and charged in connection with Ashley's death. The judge set their bail at $5 million each, thinking they might try to run. Their trial started later that year, on October 12, and before that, in September, Liang pleaded guilty, which led to the murder charge against him being dropped in exchange for his plea. And surprisingly, Mingming pleaded not guilty, claiming she was suffering from a mental illness. Liang Zhao was offered a plea deal, where his sentence would be reduced if he testified against his wife, Mingming Chen. He took the deal, which put Mingming in a tough spot after she had pleaded not guilty. This decision didn't sit well with many people, who believed Liang was just as guilty as Mingming. Initially, Mingming was charged with murder, but the charges were reduced to involuntary manslaughter under a plea deal. On December 29, 2017, after pleading guilty, Mingming was sentenced to 22 years in prison. As part of his deal, Liang received a 12-year sentence. The court also discovered Mingming's illegal immigration status and ruled that she would be deported after serving her time. County prosecutor John Ferrero explained that the evidence and interviews indicated that Mingming didn't plan or intend to kill her daughter. He described the tragedy as something that happened in a fit of anger by a mother who had never bonded with her child. There might be some truth to that. Ashley's early separation from her parents when she was sent to China with her grandmother and the stresses of running the family business may have prevented Mingming from forming an emotional connection with Ashley.
Your daughter's dead. I just don't understand. I know that you're not crying. You said I don't have nothing left. Isn't that what you told me? You don't have no tears left. You don't have nothing left. Mingming, your daughter's dead.
Her approach to motherhood seemed cold and detached. However, Richard Drucker, Mingming's defense lawyer, disagreed with this portrayal. He argued that Mingming had shown regret and accepted responsibility for her actions. Her lawyer also argued that Liang Zhao had been violent towards both his wife and daughter, which contributed to the toxic environment in the household, and that he was equally responsible for what happened. The autopsy revealed that Ashley Zhao had been struck multiple times, resulting in a severe brain injury that ultimately led to her death. This discovery raised concerns about whether the abuse had been ongoing for some time before she died from her injuries. During the investigation, Liang Zhao admitted that the violence began when he and Mingming resumed caring for Ashley after she returned from living with her grandmother in China. This admission led people to question not only Liang's role in the abuse, but also his efforts to cover up the crime and his failure to protect his daughter over an extended period. As for Jojo, Ashley's sister, not much is known about her whereabouts after the case. It's possible she was sent to live with her grandmother. It's heartbreaking to think about what she went through, losing both her parents and her sister in such a traumatic way. The fact that she unknowingly became part of her parents' twisted plan by sleeping next to her sister's body is incredibly sad. Jojo didn't deserve any of this. A couple who were once seen as upstanding members of their community shocked everyone when they became killers of their own 5-year-old daughter, Ashley Zhao. It's almost impossible to wrap your mind around how parents could harm their own child, let alone take her life in such a brutal way. The case of Ashley Zhao sparked outrage across the media. People were horrified not only by the crime itself, but also the cold, emotionless way Ashley's parents, Liang Zhao and Mingming Chen, spoke about their daughter's death. When the court handed down their sentences, the reactions were mixed. Some people felt that justice had been served, while others believed that no punishment could ever be enough for such a terrible crime. It's likely that the small town where this happened will never forget or forgive what was done to the little girl they cherished more than her own parents did. May Ashley Zhao's soul find peace and perhaps be reborn into a loving family. As for Liang and Mingming, they now have plenty of time to reflect on what they've done. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.